Raider Nation, good morning. It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And before we get into today's mailbag, which, friendly reminder, I did film on Wednesday before my trip to go visit my family for the holidays. But I mean this when I say it. I'm freaking fired up today because I can't wait to watch the Raiders get their ass kicked against the Houston Texans. And you know what else I can't wait for? For us to take down Jeremy Chuggs and Texans today in a Super Chat battle. Now, we got a lot of head coaching rumors, a lot of offseason debate to get into, and we're going to talk a lot about quarterbacks because I don't know if you know this. It's something that we need to figure out this offseason. Every single question, though, that you see on today's program is from somebody that follows me on social media at MitchellRenz365. So if you love this show and you want to see a future question of yours on the program, give me a follow on social media. This is a big-time game for us, and, yeah, not going to lie, for Houston as well. They're 9-5. They're chasing the playoffs. We're chasing something a little bit different. That's that number one overall pick. But you know what? I'm going to be going live an hour and 25 minutes before this game gets kicked off. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure those notifications are turned on. And don't let my little brother Jeremy beat us in a battle today. Let's go to the very first question here on the program. Anthony Hernandez. What's up, my brother? Mitch. So I heard you talk about Robert Saleh and Jesse Minter as the next head coach candidates. Anything on Chris Shula? Because I would like Shula or Saleh to be the next head coach. Now, again, to me, I am a Raiders fan. I'm not an insider. I'm not a reporter. But when I get information, I relay it to you. The top two names that I've been hearing right now around the silver and black are Jesse Minter and Robert Saleh. I'm not saying that the Raiders aren't interested in Chris Shula because I'm going to be very transparent with you. If Tom Brady, John Spytek, and whoever the hell is making the decisions of who that next Raiders coach needs to be, if you don't bring Chris Shula in for at least an interview, shame on you. He is no doubt one of the top candidates this cycle. He is a great young defensive-minded coach, and when you come from good coaching trees, like I am a slut for a good Sean McVay coaching tree type of guy, and you hear a lot of rumors that he could be the next Sean McVay. He's worked underneath him since 2017. Grandson of Don Shula, who really had arguably one of the best teams of all time. At 39 years old, he's been coaching since 2010. I love Chris Shula, and I've even said it before. If the Raiders look at me and they go, Mitch, we're not going to go with an offensive-minded coach, my number one candidate is Chris Shula. So we're thinking the exact same thing. Let's go to another question here coming in from Anthony. What's up, my brother? If the Raiders get a defensive-minded head coach, will they let him choose his offensive coordinator and staff, or will the front office build the coaching staff? Well, first off, I already know that Patrick Graham's going to be gone. Graham wants to go somewhere else, and the Raiders want to separate from PG. We got to also be able to sit back here and think about what is this Raiders' job. It's not an attractive job. Now, if you have the number one overall pick, you got $107 million in salary cap space. That's top two money in the NFL, 10 draft picks. That alone should be attractive. But if we really want to get the top candidates out there, I think you're going to have to let him build his offensive coordinator. They're going to have to let him bring in his own defensive coordinator. You're going to have to let them bring in their own coaching staff. I'm not saying that Spytek and Tom Brady and our smart front office, and I will continuously say that I believe that we have a smart front office, doesn't get some say. But if you want to reel in the big fish, probably going to have to let him build his own coaching staff. Let's go to Moss. I want some more Moss. If the Raiders don't draft a QB, which free agent quarterback would be a viable option? I mean, dude, I have not dealt with this season and last season for us to be in a situation looking at free agent quarterbacks. And the problem with free agency, I think right now, if you look at a lot of lists of who's the top free agent quarterback out there, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is not going to be playing football, in my personal opinion, in the year 2026 unless he's figuring out how to turn into Superman with that ruptured Achilles. So if I'm Las Vegas, and if you're looking at me saying, well, we're not going to draft a quarterback, I would say you could go trade, you could go free agency. You might be able to sign a 43-year-old Aaron Rodgers. That would be interesting. Hell, I bet a bunch of y'all would love to be able to go get a retired Derek Carr. You could trade for somebody like J.J. McCarthy, Tua Tagovailoa, and if you didn't see the video that I put out earlier in the week on Tua, please go check that one out. But Cam Moore, Jalen Milroe, Mac Jones, Kyler Murray are probably all in the mix. If it was up to me, out of those names there, I am either A, trading for Cam Ward because, again, I had a source tell me that if the Titans have the number one overall pick, they will end up taking Mendoza and be willing to move on from Cam Ward for a second-round pick. Also, I would entertain the idea of Jalen Milroe. They already have Sam Darnold. Can I get Milroe for a 4th or a 5th-round pick? You put Milroe in an offense with Ashton Jeanty, 2 tight end set, Michael Mayer, Brock Bowers, try to play a little FU football with JPJ at center and invest in that offensive line. I don't think it's the worst idea that we could possibly do. But again, I'm team draft the quarterback because we haven't done it in the first round since Jamarcus Russell. And if you think Dante Moore or Fernando Mendoza or anything like Jamarcus Russell, you haven't watched football. You probably also watched those blank tapes that Jamarcus was doing. But you know what? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. If you don't know what that means, it means this is the number one question I want you to answer. So you're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. While that ad is playing, I want you to scroll on down and answer this question literally right underneath the video. If the Raiders don't draft a quarterback, who would you want? Let me know down below. Let's get into this next question here from Steer Shy Guy. When I hear Shy Guy, I think of me and my cousin back in the old days playing a little bit of Mario baseball with my guy Shy Guy. Who is a wide receiver the Raiders could add in either free agency, trade, or in the draft that can improve the offense? I do like some of these players in the draft, and I think that the wide receiver range is a little bit deeper. If it was up to me, I'm probably looking at a guy in the 4th, 5th round because I like Trey Tucker. I like Jack Besham. We have Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer and Ashton Jeanty. To me, those are your top 5 options if you bring in a new quarterback. Like, those are the top 5 target getters, opportunity. I don't know how to even say it. But I would say right now, if we're looking at 2 free agents in the open market, the number one guy that I would actually entertain the idea around is Rashid Shaheed, especially if we decide to bring in Clint Kubiak, and that's because we need a field stretcher. I would love to be able to be in a world where I have a lot of confidence in Dante Thornton Jr. being able to stretch the field. I just don't know if I see it happening. So if you add a dude like Rashid Shaheed who could take the top off of defense, who literally Seattle traded for this season to be able to pair with Kubiak, because you got to remind yourself, Kubiak and Shaheed, they were also together in 2024 in New Orleans. But the other reason why we need another level of a field stretcher, and Shaheed can do a bunch of different things, it opens up the underneath routes for Brock Bowers, for Mayer. It opens up it for Jack Bech. But most importantly, it opens up more running lanes for Ashton Jeanty. The one player that I keep getting asked about, though, is George Pickens. And I keep seeing articles, videos, a lot of stuff out there about the Raiders should go get George Pickens because we don't have a number one receiver because we traded away Jacoby Myers. I can't say this enough. I think the number one dumbest thing that the Raiders could do in free agency this offseason is go out and sign a player like George Pickens. There's no doubt Pickens is talented. You may argue me top 10 wide receiver in terms of talent. But you're telling me George Pickens, you want to put him on a Raiders team? You want to spend $30 million plus on this guy right here? Because if it doesn't go well, I mean, it's going to be really, really bad for Pickens. In my personal opinion, if you're spending $20, $25, $30 million this offseason for the Raiders, he better put his hand in the dirt. George Pickens ain't putting his hand in the dirt. We need to win in the trenches before we can go out and sign a $30 million wide receiver. We got a lot of needs. And I got something that I think each and every one of y'all need, especially this season. The Raiders, they stink. Maybe your fantasy football season is already over, but with bowl games coming up here, this is the best time of the year to go get started with our sponsor, PrizePicks. It's the holiday season, the best time of the year for sports. Heck, we even got some basketball matchups. And you and I, we make decisions every single day of what gifts to buy, what to eat, which game to watch. And there's one place where it feels good to be right. That's on PrizePicks. I told y'all last week that my uncle had Kyle Pitts and basically ruined my fantasy season. I am officially out. But you know what? I can still get my fantasy lineup in on PrizePicks. And this is my $10 lineup to pay $100. It's a flex play, and that's one of the things that I love about PrizePicks. It's that flexibility. And I've had a lot of success. Less on the Raiders, more against whoever the heck they're playing. And with C.J. Stroud, I took the more on the passing yards there. I did go goblin pick. Stroud also on the pass attempts. He's not going to have to throw it 32 times. And then Geno Smith. I'm not going to root for Geno, so always give me the less there. And it's super simple to play. There's a reason why PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app out there. So download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Also, Weldinator, keep sending me those awesome PrizePicks lineups, my guy. I freaking love them. Let's go to, is this a star? I'm not sure. Get a picture. Maybe it's too early for this, but who would you pick up in free agency next year while having $115 million? I put out a video about how the Raiders can fix their offensive line in one offseason. I encourage you to go watch that video because, to me, that's where I want to spend my money. I'm not going into the NFL draft without in my personal opinion, a top 12 offensive line. Look at what Ben Johnson, look at what the Chicago Bears did last season. They said, we got a need on the interior. We want to be able to protect our young quarterback in Caleb Williams. So what do? They go out and they add 3 interior linemen, 2 guards, 1 center. If you're telling me I got to deal with anything that looks like this on an offensive line, you just pissed away at your draft pick in Ashton Genty. I want to build that offensive line to not only invest in that young quarterback that we might be getting in a Fernando Mendoza or a Dante Moore, but you're also investing in Ashton Genty. You're also investing in Brock Bowers, and you're investing in a lot of these young pieces that we have because we do actually have a lot of young pieces on the offensive side of the football. So to me, I'm spending my money in the trenches. Offensive line, defensive line. If you don't win in the trenches, it doesn't flippin' matter. And I think the Raiders are proof of that over the past few seasons. Let's go to the Raider Daily. What's up, my dude? Why are you promoting dog shit head coach candidates like Robert Saleh, Jesse Minter, and Clint Kubiak? I mean, I'll tell you this right now. If that's dog shit, I don't even need a dog bag to pick that up. I'll pick that up barehanded. I guess I don't understand why you would think Robert Saleh is a bad coach, and I get it. He was with the New York Jets from 2021 to 2024. I actually don't really think, though, he was given a fair shake at that. Like, you look at his defenses. The first year, yeah, the Robert Saleh defense in New York in 2021 wasn't very good. In year 2, though, they were the 4th best defense in the NFL in terms of points per game. Saleh is very well liked, very well respected. Kubiak also, very young guy. If those coaches aren't appealing to you, I guess, what are you looking for? Are you looking for somebody that's got more of a resume, like a Mike McCarthy, a Mike Tomlin? Are you looking for somebody like John Gruden? I obviously keep hearing his name pop up left and right. But my question, I guess, and I'll just leave it like this. In the NFL and in life in general, if you have an opportunity to improve, whether it's at the running back position, quarterback position, offensive line, or head coach, you got to do it. And every single one of those names is light years better than what you got right now. So if you can improve, even if in your opinion they're dog shit, I'll take a dog shit improvement from any one of those head coaches over Pete Carroll right now because I can't take Paw Pete anymore, man. Let's go to Brian. Hey, Mitch, who is better, Moore or Mendoza? I'm a bigger fan of Mendoza than I am Moore, but I will also say this, like, if you like Mendoza, you should also like Dante Moore. If you like Dante Moore, you should probably also like Mendoza. I don't really think that they're all that different from a quarterback perspective. The reason why I will take Mendoza over Dante Moore is because this is the Raiders report, and I just simply see Mendoza succeeding with the pieces that we have more than somebody like Dante Moore. Because in my mind, I want to run a West Coast style offense. I want to run an under center type of offense where you need to be able to have a guy that can go under center. You need to be able to go a more pro style offense like he ran at Indiana, because when you have a 2 tight end set that you can roll with Bowers and Mayer, 2 other wide receivers in Trey Tucker and Jack Besh, and a running back like Ashton Genty, I want to really be able to get that play action game going. And I know the comp that people have for Mendoza is Jared Goff. But one of the things that Jared Goff is really good at, hell, I think I make an argument, he might be the best play-action quarterback in the NFL. And Mendoza has a lot of those traits as well. So we're talking 1A, 1B here. I think it would be Mendoza number 1. Dante Moore is going to be the number 2 overall pick if he decides to declare. I like Moore. I like Mendoza. I just simply see the pieces that we have, and I say it every year. I don't want a head coach that forces the players that he has into his system, like Josh McDaniels, like a Chip Kelly, like a Pete Carroll, right? I want a good head coach that does, you know what? I got a lot of these pieces. Instead of me forcing them into what I do, I'm going to take the pieces I have and I'm going to build around them. It's what good head coaches, it's what good coaches do in general. But I am a man of the people after all. So pick a quarterback for me. Would you go with the Oregon quarterback Dante Moore? Would you go with Indiana, the Heisman Trophy winner Fernando Mendoza? Give me an F, give me a D, giggity down below. You already know. I'm going to give you guys an F. Let's go to Matt Rogers. What's up, my brother? Mitchell, my question for the mailbag. By the way, my dad would be very happy. He hates when people call me Mitch. What do you think the chances are that either Pete or Gino are back next year for the Raiders? Just win, baby. Chances, I would say, imagine if you saw something that was 99.9%. Now think of the other side of it. I would say 0.1% is what I would say Pete Carroll and Geno Smith returning. Geno wants out. He's made that very clear, and people inside that organization know that Geno Smith wants out. And for Pete Carroll was brought in to win football games and build a culture. And the culture was not only for his own players in that locker room, it was also to get Raider Nation to rally behind him because Mark wants more people in that stadium. I don't know what he's failed at more, getting Raider Nation to have his back because, again, Pete, when you support somebody who flips off your own fans and essentially allows your quarterback to throw temper tantrums, well, you can get mad at us all you want. You can ask us to show up, but I'm also asking you to show up for us. So I would say a 0.1% chance, but that's based on me making this video right now. If the Raiders were to win a few games, it makes this job a lot less attractive. But in my mind, we have the number 1 overall pick. And if you have the number 1 overall pick, this job is a lot more sexy, and you're going to be able to find better candidates out there. Let's go to the next guy coming up here. Who is that crossed out? I have no idea. I'm going to call you Blackwell. Thoughts on bringing back Devin White next season? I don't know if you saw Ian Rappaport's tweet. I don't know if you saw the video that I put out earlier, but to me, I can't even believe that people in the year of 2025 think that Devin White is a good linebacker. I understand he's got 140-something tackles, and I get he has good box score stats, but the epitome of you just looking at box score, and again, I hope Ian Rappaport got paid very, very handsomely for this tweet, because if you think Devin White is in the running for comeback player of the year, you should probably also think that Geno Smith is having a good season. Because I would make the argument the year that Geno Smith is having from a quarterback standpoint is equally as good as the season that Devin White is having at linebacker. And I don't give a flying flip if he's got 149 tackles. He also is top 3 in the NFL in missed tackles, though PFF has him down for number 1. He is allowing I believe it's 70 targets, 54 receptions. That's a 77.1 completion percentage. Other big reason why he's got a lot of tackles, and again, if you haven't watched every Raiders game, you're not going to know it. But what offensive coordinators do every single week, because Pete just can't change anything up, Devin White's the green dot linebacker, which means he's going to play 100% of the snaps because Pete's not going to take him out of the game. So every single week, offensive coordinators design plays to get their guy on Devin White, because Devin White can't cover anybody. In fact, I think if I went out on the field right now, I'd be able to get open on Devin White. Devin, if you know where to find me, I'm at Mitchell Renz 365. Allow me to run routes against you. Let's raise some money for some charity, because the money we gave you was charity. Let's go to Mitch Lovin. When will the next season of Silo be aired? I'm not going to lie. I thought this was like Shiloh question. I'm like, dude, it's week 16. Shiloh stinks. I actually don't know what this show is. I don't watch a lot of TV. The only shows I'm really watching right now are Stranger Things, and that's just because my wife's like, we got to get caught up because apparently there's a new one coming out on Christmas Eve or Christmas or something like that. If she's been lying to me the whole time, I don't know, I've been watching way too much Stranger Things. So you know what? Before I get out of here today, I want to know from you, what is your favorite show that you're watching right now? Because I know it ain't the Raiders, and the fact that people are still watching this show in the month of December is the epitome of we're so much more than a YouTube channel. We're building an amazing community here. But as soon as I get done with Stranger Things, I'm going to have to give my wife a show that we're going to have to watch. So please, to all the real ones out there, if you made it this far in the video, give me some suggestions down below. I want to say one more time before I hop on out here, if you always want to give me a follow on IG, Twitter, I'm at MitchellRens365. I do try to check my DMs. I do try to respond to all of y'all because at the end of the day, there's nothing more important in our life than time. And when you take time out of your day to watch my show, I'm going to try to take time out of my day to be able to respond to your questions because I can't get to every question on a Raiders mailbag. But if you appreciate this show and you appreciate this content, make sure you're ready to go because Raiders, Texans, I'm going to be rooting for Houston. I want the number 1 overall pick. But most importantly, you better not let Jeremy troll us because he's never going to let it go. So make sure you show up, make sure you get rowdy, and let's get a Raiders win today against Houston.